Good afternoon, ICB Bookkeepers. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar with AutoEntry. Now, those of you who have ever been to one of our Inspire tours will know that AutoEntry has been there with us, supporting us in our last two Inspire tours. So that's our roadshow that spans the UK. And this year it finished in Dublin on the 21st of May, and Brian was there. So today from AutoEntry, we've got Brian Carolan. He is the customer success manager at AutoEntry. So he knows a thing or two about getting people up to speed with this amazing product, AutoEntry. And I'm going to hand over to you, Brian. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good, Amy. How are you? Thanks for having us, and hello to everyone who's joined us. There's still a couple of people joining up, but sure, we'll kick in anyway. Yeah, doing good. Hopefully everything's good over there as well.
It is, yes. Sunny and humid in London today.
It is the very same in Dublin, absolutely.
I was just going to mention, actually, just before we start that, AutoEntry obviously won a Luca Award for best data entry and data capture automation software at the Luca Awards last year. So the Luca Awards are awarded every year as part of the Bookkeepers Summit. So this has been voted for by members themselves.
Yeah, it was great award to win, and thank you very much for everyone for voting for us last year. Hopefully we might win it again, you never know. So what we're going to do today, we'll kick right in. Obviously this webinar is, I have to remember the webcam is up there, excuse me for looking off to one side sometimes. What we're going to cover today is introducing automation into your practice, and how easy it can be, and some top tips on getting into it. And then we'll have a quick look at AutoEntry, what it can do for you as regards to basic data entry into an accounts package, and how it can improve the productivity within your practice. So if we jump in a little bit here onto next slide. So what we've kind of introduced this little concept of, we're all familiar with the big four, or if you have clients who are looking for a large amount of consultative work, where it generally bounces off to the larger accountancy firms or the larger bookkeeping firms for some reason, because it's believed that these are the guys who are able to give you the best consultative responses as such. We don't believe that's necessarily the case, because with automation, you can now start introducing yourselves to, excuse me, I'll actually just turn my webcam off while we're doing the actual webinar. So with the introduction of automation, you can reduce the amount of time that you're spending on the basic data entry within your business or within your practice. And it allows you to become a more consultative business. So you're not just going to be entering the data into an accounts package or producing figures or producing month-end reports or anything like that. You'll still obviously be doing that, but it gives you an automation will allow you to free up an awful lot more of your time, that you can become much more consultative. You guys know your clients' businesses intimately already. You've been working with clients for years, more than likely. You're already right there on the cusp of where that client is at. So with automation, it can free up even more of your time, that you can become more of a consultative business as such. Now, top tips for getting started. Automation sounds like a huge, big, scary thing. It sounds like you need a degree in IT or a degree in tech, or you need to understand computers or anything like that. It's genuinely not that difficult. And our top tip number one is literally just start using it. Easier said than done sometimes, but we'll see a couple of examples as we go through. Most of these pieces of software, and we'll see AutoEntry later on just as a good example as well, they can be extremely easy to actually get to learn. Most of them all include free training, we all include free support, we'll all include updates, and everything is all managed for you. So all you need to do is at least start using the basics. And you can generally, once you get used to the basics of it, you can actually start delving into the more automated features that can be hidden within settings or anything like that. So it can really, really automate your business. Second top tip, very, very simple, is talk to a friend. You're more than likely probably aware of someone who uses a product that you're looking at, or who's using a product that will resolve a pain point that you already have. With the ICB, I know you guys have very active forums, and you're all at the ICB tours and the year-end events. Just simply talking to the other bookkeepers, finding out their experience with the various products, the pain points that you have. And of course, even at most of these tours, AutoEntry included, there's always other vendors there that you can talk to, and get introduced to what this tech is and what it can do for you, and especially how easy it is to implement within your practice. And then the third thing is start small. Go with one app. What AutoEntry would be referred to as an app, and all of the pieces of software like us. Try out one app. Identify a particular pain point that you have. In AutoEntry's case, we solve the problem of your data entry. So we'll automate the data entry for you. We'll do the extraction, as we'll see later on. And just try it on one client, or try it on a small group of clients, that you can get a feel for exactly what this particular app is going to do for you. Not necessarily just us, whichever app you wanted to go with, whichever solution you need to solve that pain point that you have. Just introduce it on a small scale at first. You'll find that you very, very quickly and easily trip into all of a sudden using that particular app an awful lot more and an awful lot more, spreading it out among all of your clients and across all of your client base. And you'd be amazed how quick you realize that, okay, this app has worked brilliantly. Let's try and move on to another one. Automation in practice, though, is all about becoming more efficient. All of the apps, not just AutoEntry, but any apps, whether it's for payroll or meetings or email apps, from its most basic, allow you to become an awful lot more efficient, because you're now allowing a certain amount of automation to be done by that particular product that you've selected. And it takes that weight off your shoulders that you need to be monitoring or keeping up with. For example, a time booking app. We use one here in the office called Calendly. We've no association with, but just as an example. And it allows our sales teams and our members of the office here, we have a link that if someone needs to have a meeting with us, click on the link, select a time that's available, and it's live with our calendar. So it'll only show times that we're actually available, clicking on the link to organize a meeting. And there's no back and forth on emails, back and forth on group chats or anything like that. It's all fully automatic. Your calendar gets populated and you know exactly who you're meeting that day, and planning out your day an awful lot better. It simplifies compliance, obviously, using automation, and it allows you to grow your business. Simplifying compliance, we're all familiar with GDPR, and we're all familiar with the MTD rules that have all been introduced recently. Allowing automation to take over some of your tasks does allow an awful lot more compliance, and it makes it much easier, certainly for some of your smaller clients who are thereabouts on the cusp of requiring to be MTD compliant. Makes it an awful lot easier to simply turn them into an MTD compliant company. And of course, growing your business. We all know that at some point you will reach capacity on, if it's data entry that you're specializing in, there will come a point where you're either now looking at hiring more staff, or you simply can't take on any more clients because you've no spare capacity left in the business. Using automation for whether it's data entry or any of the other apps that can solve automated problems, it allows you to free up your time more, that you can grow the business, whether it's bringing on new clients, or as we mentioned at the start, you can now provide more consultative service to your clients, that you're not simply spending all your time on the data entry or on producing the month end, doing VAT returns, anything like that. You simply have more time available to you that you can serve your clients better. How automation is changing how we work. A couple of quick figures here. 60% of practices think that many basic processes will be automated in the next 5 years. 9 out of 10 think advances in technology will benefit the profession. 75% agree that technology makes the job easier, and understanding technology is considered to be the most important skill for the future. These are all reports that were done by an accounting firm in the UK, talking to all of their clients and external clients as well. Everyone is fully aware that automation of some degree and technology is going to be involved in their business. The really important thing is how it can help your business. We're not looking to take control of your business, or we're not looking to replace your business, but it allows you to manage your business, manage your clients, hopefully better. And as we said, it'll allow you to expand the business an awful lot more. So how can automation support bookkeeping processes? For the likes of AutoEntry, we can automate all of your data entry into your accounts packages. So those month-end shoebox clients, or they come in with a Tesco bag full of paper receipts, all of that heartache is removed by allowing a company like AutoEntry to take over the extraction on those documents, click of a button, or fully automatically publish it straight through to your accounts package. I mentioned a company called Calendly for the scheduling and conferencing. Allows you to fully automate. Your clients can book in the time that you're available and the time that suits them best. So it cuts down on the to and fro trying to get a meeting with your client, trying to find time that agrees with both of you. Payroll, we're all aware many of the accounting packages have payroll modules available. Allows you to fully automate the payroll. And again, it just takes that extra weight off your shoulders that you don't need to sit down physically going through Excel spreadsheets or printouts that clients have sent you in. That you can automate the payroll function an awful lot easier. Onboarding, we use a app in the background called a company called Intercom, which allows us to automatically onboard our really small customers. So where someone might be spending very, very small amount with us each month, we can actually automate the onboarding process. So we can guide them through getting used to the product, where they can go for help, where they can go to watch videos, what they need to do on the next step. So they're essentially self-helping into the onboarding process. Now, for a bookkeeping practice, you of course can include this as well. How they can get in touch with you, how new clients can contact you, and of course you can even have automated mails or automated responses for them that will send out maybe a PDF file of the services you provide, how to contact you, how to move on. And of course, accounts receivable and payable, big area that AutoEntry is also involved in, is automating that process as much as possible in conjunction with the accounts package that you're using, where you can have AutoEntry can publish the accounts payable, accounts receivable, purchase invoices or sales invoices through, and then you can use the settings within your accounts package to automate the reconciliation even further once the actual data has arrived in. Complying with MTD, really, really simple. As we all know, it's moving to, or has moved to, digital tax returns, depending on the company size. But as I mentioned, you'll probably have clients who are not quite there yet, but they're on the cusp of requiring digital tax returns. And of course, now that it's introduced, it will eventually spread to the smaller companies as well. Using a automated process or using a digital app or software such as AutoEntry allows you to virtually be compliant straight away. We can go so far as having either fetching documents from a supplier from a purchase invoice point of view, or indeed having the client snap an image on their phone, uploading it straight to AutoEntry through the AutoEntry phone app. And that is now a full digital audit trail from the original source document. As we all know, revenue, HMRC will accept the digital image or photograph of the original paper document. You don't necessarily need to keep the paper documents anymore, because you now have it as a fully digital journey from your client's desk, snapping an image on a Monday morning when they open their post, all the way through into Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, whichever accounts package that you're using. So automating your bookkeeping data is one of the fastest and most immediate ways to automate your workflow and drive productivity gains for your practice. We are really quick and easy to use. Obviously, this is a little bit more relating to AutoEntry itself. We've built it to be as simple to use as possible, that we believe you can log in and literally start using it automatically yourself, but it allows you to reduce cost and time spent on manual data entry, which is the main pain point that we're here to solve for you. Eliminating human error. All the figures that we extract are verified, and you can, of course, review them before publishing through to your accounts. You gain better visibility of your data, not only within AutoEntry itself, but because the image of the invoices are all published through to your accounts, including Sage 50. We don't publish the image to Sage 50, but there is a link back to AutoEntry that you can view the image straight away from within Sage itself. So it gives you better visibility of your data, not just the source document, but the actual extraction as well. And again, it gives you a full audit trail all the way through into the accounts. Protecting your data more effectively, not only obviously you have all the data stored within various accounting packages, AutoEntry gives you a full backup as well. So we do have a full archive of everything that you upload and everything you publish through to your accounts package is all stored within AutoEntry as well. So if the worst comes to the worst, something happens, maybe it's Sage 50 locally hosted and the PC dies and you've lost all the files, all of the invoices that you've previously published through, any statements that you've previously entered in, they're all still available within AutoEntry that you can repopulate your version of Sage, as an example. And it gives you the capacity to take on more new clients. As we said, there will come a point where you will hit maximum capacity. You have a certain number of clients, and that's as many as you can handle. Whereas introducing automation can reduce the amount of time you're spending per client, giving you more free time, again, to serve your clients. So what is technology doing? The one thing we're not looking to do is replacing the human touch. It's really, really quick and easy. AutoEntry is there to assist resolving a pain point that you have, creating more time on your hands, and AutoEntry will take the burden off the data entry. As we say an awful lot of the time, we're never sure, we've never met anyone who grew up dreaming of data entry. It's one of those jobs that must be done, absolutely has to be done, but it's not necessarily needs to be done by a human hand. We can replace the data entry element of it, but we can't replace the human element, the relationship you have with your client. But again, because we're freeing up more of your time, it gives you more time to actually build and expand that relationship with your clients. So we're going to jump into a quick demo of AutoEntry. If I jump onto other screen, perfect. So this is our basic login page. We've a huge number of people who've joined us here today. I can see there's actually over 100 people on the webinar at the minute. More than likely, an awful lot of you might not know what AutoEntry is or might not have signed up to us. And we probably have a few customers here as well. AutoEntry is very quick and easy, allowing you to upload your raw data. We'll do the extraction on it and then publish it through to your accounts package. Or indeed, if you simply just want to export it to an Excel spreadsheet, we can also do that. There is a free trial on the website, and we'll come back. We have a discount and everything agreed with the ICB that you can avail of as well. But there is a free trial there that you can sign up. You can try it out yourself, and you can see exactly how AutoEntry works and how it can benefit you. Once you log in, sorry, Amy.
I was just gonna say, Brian, I could just do a little poll and we can find out how many of you here today are actually using AutoEntry already, or perhaps even an equivalent solution. Hopefully you'll be able to see a little poll show up on your screen there.
I was about to vote, but hosts can't vote. That's very annoying.
I mean, I'm hoping you'd have said yes. And I'm actually using AutoEntry here at ICB as well, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. Really liking being able to send my receipts and stuff directly by email.
Yeah, absolutely.
My finance director. It's very low touch.
Yes.
And
yeah.
So that's very interesting. So 22% are actually using something like AutoEntry already. And we've got a couple of questions we'll come to at the end already. So if you've got any questions, add them to the Q&A and we will get to them after this demo. All right, thanks, guys.
Perfect. That's good to hear. A lot of people already using us or something similar. So when you log in, we do have this as our what we term as our practice homepage. So within AutoEntry, there's no charge for you adding clients to AutoEntry, adding their company, or indeed adding users. You can add as many of your colleagues in your office as you wish, or adding as many of your individual clients as you wish as well. So adding your client means, of course, that they can use the phone app as well. GDPR and obviously requires that everyone has their own login details and passwords. There's no sharing of passwords. So you can add as many users as you wish, and they would effectively have their own user account. When you set up a company, it's really quick and easy. All we literally need is a name, a location, and currency, and you have a company set up, and we can then integrate it with your accounts package. This is one of our demo accounts, so we can see we have a huge range of all the various accounts packages that we integrate with. Simply clicking on the settings under the integrations tab, and we simply click connect to the accounts package that you're actually using. You're not locked into using one particular accounts package, as we can see on the screen. If one particular client is using Sage Accounting, another one's using Sage 50, another is using QuickBooks, there's no problem at all. You can integrate with that particular package depending on the client. Once integrated, you're now able to upload your documents. So if we click into this company here, QB & Sons, we have it just integrated with QuickBooks Online just for the demo here today. And really quick and easy. You have a great big pile of paper in the office. You run it through a scanner. You save it as one PDF, so you don't need to scan each individual document. And you drag and drop that PDF file into AutoEntry. We have an upload queue to show you the files are being uploaded. And once they're uploaded completely, we can close down this file. we default to automatically detecting and breaking down that PDF file. So there's no user intervention. You simply drag and drop a PDF, 50, 100 invoices, whatever it may be. AutoEntry does the checking, splitting it out to the individual items. If it's a 1-page document or a 5-page document, we split them all out automatically for you. And we do have the option of capturing line item extraction as well. So if you require full line item extraction, that level of detail for one particular supplier, one particular invoice, we can do that as well for you, and even adding tracking categories as required as well. Once uploaded and processed, they'll then land into your inbox. Processing on average takes under 2 hours. We'll give you then into your inbox full list of all the invoices that we've processed for you with the invoice date, supplier name, over the right hand side then currency, net VAT and total. Really, really quick and easy. All we need to do is using the 3 drop down menus. So for brand new invoice, never before seen by AutoEntry, simply scroll down. So when we integrate with your accounts package, we pull through your full list of suppliers for this particular client. So simply select the correct supplier. We pull through your full list of nominal accounts. So simply select a nominal account, and we pull through your full list of VAT codes, and you simply select the relevant VAT code for that invoice. Once all 3 are filled in, if I change this one, even just as an example, AutoEntry will ask if you want to remember these settings, and we'll now save these 3 options as default settings for this particular supplier. So anytime we ever see an invoice from this supplier again, 3 drop-down menus are automatically filled in for you. So you only have to use the drop-down menus once per supplier, and they're automatically filled in going forward. We can now see the little tick on the left-hand side. Once the 3 drop-downs are filled in, you can click to publish, and that publishes us straight through to your accounts package. Once successful, we get a little icon. Again, in this case, we're just integrated with QuickBooks. We get a little icon that the invoice has been successfully published through. And we have a standard default that will now move the invoice up to what we mentioned earlier on is our archive folder, where we store your invoices going forward, minimum 7 years or as long as there's an active subscription. So everything is all backed up in the archive folder for you, keeping your inbox nice and clear for the new invoices. We can see a big warning triangle on this one here. AutoEntry, this is part of our duplicate check. So we have a mouthful. This is called a duplicate check. So at the point of upload, we'll check and see if we've processed that file before. When we're processing the invoice, we'll check if we've processed that individual invoice before. And also when we're publishing it through to the accounts, we'll check at that stage, does the invoice already exist? Did a colleague manually enter it last week before you used AutoEntry to publish it through? For all 3 instances, you can override it simply clicking on the exclamation warning here, or indeed they can be in the rejected folder here as well. So anything that AutoEntry can't process, and yes, when you're using the phone app for the first time, that photo of your pet that you're taking just to see if the app works, it will be rejected, unfortunately. If we click into one of the invoices though, it gets even cooler as such, the level of the extraction that we do. So first off, we have the invoice image on the right hand side, and a perfect example of using the phone app to snap the image. So inviting your client into AutoEntry, they just set up their username and password, downloading the AutoEntry app, Android or Apple Store. This invoice might arrive on a Monday morning. As soon as they open the envelope, snap an image of it, click upload. It's literally 2 buttons. An hour or 2 later, you have it in AutoEntry. The great thing here is, certainly with smaller clients or with those clients who come into you at the end of the month with a great big shoebox full of paperwork, as they're snapping the images through the month, you now have a constant flow of that raw data coming in. So you're not all of a sudden back-ending everything to the end of the month, and there's a huge big panic to get the month closed off and get the figures done, get your VAT figures worked out and VAT returns done. You already have 95% of the data already in your accounts package, purely because your client is simply snapping images on their phone app. Really, really quick and easy. On the left-hand side, a bit more detailed extraction. Your date, we can assign default due dates. So due date for payment can be set here. But also we can jump into what's called the supplier settings. So the little delivery truck here, once we've selected our supplier, the little delivery truck will bring us straight through to supplier settings, where we can set a default due date for this particular supplier when payment is due. Description, nice and easy. We simply use the supplier name as the description on the invoice. We obviously accept and recognize invoices and credit notes. Be highlighted here with the button. On the previous page, we'll just have the figures in brackets, nice and easy to understand. Invoice number, reference field is a free field. If you need to add any extra notes or external note or external reference number, that can be entered here. With QuickBooks Online and Xero, we can also do purchase order matching. So if your clients are using the purchase order systems within their accounts, if there's an open purchase order, we can sync through, we can pull through those open POs and then give you a drop-down menu that you can simply select the PO that you want to assign this invoice to. We'll mark the PO as fulfilled while publishing the invoice through at the same time. Tracking categories, again, can be selected per invoice here or indeed on the previous page with the full list of invoices. And again, with QuickBooks Online and Xero, you can make this invoice a billable expense to a particular customer, simply selecting the customer from the drop-down menu. And when published through, if you're using the billable expenses feature within QuickBooks or Xero, you'll know when you start creating a sales invoice for that customer, they automatically prompt you that there are expenses there due for this customer. So it's really, really quick and easy, a cool automated feature there. Below this, standard net VAT and total. If it's a foreign currency invoice, this is obviously an Irish Vodafone invoice we just uploaded, converting from euro back to your base currency, GBP in this case. If there's no clear denomination of what currency it is, again, we can jump into supplier settings and we can actually tell AutoEntry. So while it's not on the invoice what the currency is, you can tell AutoEntry, well, going forward, this Vodafone invoice will always be euro, and we'll always convert it back for you. Even better again, down the bottom, a standard feature is we will always extract to a VAT summary level. So where there is a VAT summary or a VAT breakdown on an invoice, if I zoom in here a little bit, that jumped in a lot. We obviously paid 23% VAT on the phone charge, 0% VAT on the insurance. Where there's a VAT breakdown, we will automatically give you a VAT summary down here on the left-hand side with a net VAT and total per VAT rate, allowing you to assign it to individual category accounts with individual VAT codes and even to classes or billable customers as well. And again, AutoEntry will remember these settings per VAT rate. So in this case, the 23% VAT line will always go to phone costs, 0% will always go to insurance. That again, as standard. So where there's a VAT summary on it, we will automatically break it down for you and give you a tax summary down on the bottom left. Publishing next, really obvious, publishes this off to your accounts package, brings up the next invoice on the list, and you can work through your invoices one by one in this view if required. With line item extraction, again, the option is there if you want to do line item extraction, and you can do it per upload, or indeed, you can jump into the supplier settings for this supplier and turn on line item extraction just for this one supplier. So you can upload your PDF file of 50 or 100 invoices in one file. We can have the line item extraction turned on for sound supplies, and just that one invoice will have the line item extraction on it. Scrolling down the bottom is where all the line item detail is as extracted from the actual invoice on the right. We'll give you your full description. You can then again select your category and VAT code as required, and where available, price, net, VAT and total. You can tell AutoEntry if the lines are tax inclusive or exclusive, and as the VAT code is selected, we'll automatically calculate or recalculate the VAT figure for you, because a lot of invoices, this one is a good example, doesn't actually have the VAT per line on the invoice, but once you select the VAT code, we'll automatically calculate it out for you, depending on whether it's tax inclusive or exclusive. As with the VAT summary, if you don't wish to, it's one extra credit for the line item extraction. That's one extra credit per invoice, not per line or per page. If you don't want to use up the extra credit on the line item extraction, you can, of course, manually add them, simply clicking add line items. And likewise, if there is no VAT summary on an invoice, but you know it needs to be broken down to multiple VAT rates, you can manually add a VAT summary at any stage there as well. Now, the great thing here, for the line item extraction, we have an awful lot of customers who use it for invoices that might have 100 to 200 lines on an invoice, and they need that level of detail going into the accounts. We will, of course, remember the category and VAT code selected per description, whereas it has to match that exact description. So a great example here is these two speakers are slightly different size speakers. AutoEntry would need to remember it per description. However, we can go a step further, and if I actually jump into our supplier settings itself, so just as an example of automating the process even further, so we've done the extraction and it's ready for you to publish through, we can actually assign your nominal account and VAT codes based on the line description. the rule option right up the top here, we can create, or you can create rules. We've called this one speakers, and if the description contains the word speaker, speakers plural or base, that's specific products that we're buying on that invoice, we can now categorize it to the correct nominal account, VAT code, and even tracking category as well. So when the line item extraction is done, AutoEntry will go through each rule, compare it to the line item description, and when a rule is met, we'll populate the line for you. So even those invoices with 100, 200 lines on it, taking 5 or 10 minutes to create the rules, similar to the bank rules you have within your accounts package, creating the rules here, AutoEntry will be automatically categorizing all of the individual line items for you. So automating the process even that little bit further. Within the general settings for the supplier, we can see capturing line items is here, but a great option is also turning on auto publish. So with auto publish, perfect for those utility bills. You upload the Vodafone invoice we saw a few minutes ago into AutoEntry. We've already saved the VAT code and category account that we want to publish to. As soon as AutoEntry does the extraction, we automatically publish it straight through to your account. So reducing the number of click points or the number of touch points per invoice. However, we can go one huge step further where we can actually fetch the invoices for you. If I go to the integration page and other integrations, we have document fetching is in here, which we can open up. I've added a couple of my accounts to this demo account. Clicking add supplier or bank, and again, just while we had Vodafone on the screen there a minute ago, searching for Vodafone, Vodafone UK right in the middle, connect supplier. All we need to do is enter our username and password for the Vodafone website. AutoEntry will now fetch the invoices for you. This could be a little bit difficult if you have a client who's not nearby to you, maybe they're a bit more remote. You obviously need to get the username and passwords off your client, but we have the share button here on the right hand side as well. So you can actually share the link with your client. It sends over an email to your client. Hey John, do us a favor, just enter your username and password in the link below and I'll be able to fetch your Vodafone invoice every month. You won't have to give it to me. You won't have to snap a photograph of it. So now that we're fetching the Vodafone invoices, they populate into what we call our company files. Within the company files, you can turn on auto publish, or excuse me, auto process. So while we'll fetch the document, we'll drop it into your company files folder. Not all of our customers want to actually process that data. So you can go into your company files and under the Vodafone page, click on process and we'll do the extraction on that invoice. But you can, of course, turn on auto process. So as soon as we fetch the document, we'll automatically do the extraction on it. And you've already got auto publish turned on earlier on under company settings. We'll publish it straight through to your accounts. So in theory, you go home on a Wednesday evening, an invoice becomes available from Vodafone overnight. We fetch it. We do the extraction on it. We publish it through to your accounts package. So on Thursday morning, you arrive into work, turn on Sage or QuickBooks or Xero, whichever package you're using, and there's a Vodafone invoice in the correct supplier account with the correct amounts, analysed correctly, and you haven't actually clicked on anything. Fully automated, you now have the full set of data within your accounts package. And we can do that for hundreds of suppliers already within the UK. And we can also do it for bank statements. So for maybe banks that don't have a bank feed available, or you have a client that doesn't have a bank feed available, we can do the very same for your bank statements as well. Under the purchases folder, we've seen the inbox. We do all the processing. We do the full extraction on it. You can publish it through to your accounts from there. Once published, we move it to the archive folder where we store it. The activity tab is essentially an audit trail that you can that AutoEntry will have a record of everything uploaded and everything processed within AutoEntry itself. The rejected tab for those selfies on the phone app or documents that AutoEntry can't do an extraction on, maybe only half the invoice was uploaded, maybe a blurred image or blurred photograph was taken. If the AutoEntry extraction can't do an extraction on it, we'll drop it into the rejected folder, but you can move it to the inbox. So if it's a scrap of paper, but it's the only piece of paper you have in record of purchasing an item, you can still upload it, move it to the inbox and fill in any of the missing details and publish it through. The idea being that you're still retaining that image of whatever the scrap of paper is within your accounts package as well for full records. And the people section, obviously for adding users setting permissions. As you add a user, if it's a colleague in your office, you can set it that they have access to the various folders on all the companies on your account. Or if you're adding a client, you can set it that they just have specific level of access and only to their company. So you can restrict everyone who you're adding access as required. The supplier statement section is even cooler. So you have a month-end supplier statement where you need to do full reconciliation on all the invoices that have been sent. And there could be 100 to 200 invoices sometimes on a supplier statement that you need to go through manually ticking off, just making sure you've actually got all those invoices, uploading them just like our invoices to the supplier statement section. And just like our invoices, one drop-down menu and select your supplier account. Once selected, we will automatically reconcile the supplier statement for you immediately versus all the invoices that are already in AutoEntry. So you now don't need to open the supplier statement. You don't need to do anything with it. You know what's on the supplier statement. Everything is within AutoEntry already. If it hasn't reconciled, we can see on the far right-hand side, the top two haven't reconciled. On the far left, we can click in to view the actual statement. So we have a full extraction on what was taken from the supplier statement. And under the reconciliation tab, we can see 4 of the invoices have matched the invoices within AutoEntry against the invoices that are on the supplier statement. And then we have 3 options for the missing invoices. We can find a match, maybe broaden the search, plus or minus a couple of pounds, plus or minus a couple of days, in case there was an updated invoice or the supplier statement represents an updated invoice. You can ignore it, should be on last month's statement, whatever the case may be. But also, brilliantly, you can create an invoice based on the supplier statement. So AutoEntry will create just a plain text invoice, nothing special. But it means you're at month end, or you're trying to close the month off, you're trying to get VAT returns done. It's always the pressure point when you realize there's a invoice missing based on the supplier statement. We can create an invoice for you. You can publish it through to your accounts package, close the month off, get your work done. Next week, when you've a bit more time, you can actually chase up the original document and get the document off your client or off the supplier themselves. So where an invoice is missing, you can actually create an invoice and you're not stuck waiting on a supplier or waiting on a client. The sales folder we won't touch today, virtually identical to the purchases folder, obviously for sales, invoices and credit notes. Publishing through to the other side, the ledger is largely the only difference there. With our bank statement folder though, really, really quick and easy, and this is a super simple tool to use. Again, where your client may not have a bank feed available or they prefer to do their manual bank rec at the end of the month themselves. Scanning the paper documents or PDF download from online banking, uploading it to the bank statement folder. AutoEntry does the full extraction on the statement data, date details, debit and credit, running balance, check numbers where present are extracted as well. And as soon as the page loads, and there's our statement image. So perfect for those clients that just insist on keeping everything paper. They're not willing to move on into any sort of automation or any sort of bank feeds or anything like that. All you need to do is simply scan the documents and upload them, and you've brought that client into at least a version of digital record keeping, even though the client themselves is still just prefers to stick with the paper. Importing them into your accounts, there's no direct connection with any of the accounts packages that we can publish through like we can with the invoices, but we give you a full list of options for the various packages that you might be using, and it's a pre-formatted PDF, or not PDF, excuse me, it's a pre-formatted CSV file that you simply use the import tool within your accounts, and you import that data and it populates all the statement data for you. So again, there's no user intervention required. You don't need to be changing fields or changing columns, adding figures or anything like that. Sage 50 does require a little bit of intervention. We have full help pages for that because Sage requires some information that isn't present on the bank statement in order to import it, but really, really quick and easy, and an awful lot quicker than manually entering in all of those individual line items per month. And then very finally, part of AutoEntry that Amy uses an awful lot there in the ICB office, and some of her colleagues in the office use as well, for the expense reports. Any personal reimbursable expenses, again, don't forget you can add as many users as you wish. So you can add your client, you can add your client's staff. if they have engineers out on the road maybe, or they've a couple of salespeople out on the road, snapping images of diesel going in the car, or buying lunch, or entertaining clients that they've paid out of their own pocket, they're using the AutoEntry phone app, snapping the image and uploading it. We'll do a full extraction on all the data, just like we do with our invoices. And if we click into view it, we even see a normal scrappy till receipt. And don't forget, even if your clients are bringing in their bag of paperwork at the end of the month, and it includes receipts like this, you can use the phone app yourself to upload it to their company account. You don't necessarily have to have the client do it. When you log into the phone app, you'll have full visibility of all of your companies within AutoEntry as well. So rather than trying to get these onto a scanner or a flatbed scanner or anything like that, you can actually use the phone app to snap the images and upload them as well. Full extraction done, the user can add them to their expense report. Within the expense report themselves, they can submit it to their line manager, or they can submit it to you for approval. And the approver will come in each month and have a full list of all the expense reports that have been submitted to them for approval that month. Again, simply clicking in, the line manager or company owner or yourselves, if you're the approver, you can click in to view the actual expense. You can verify, yeah, everything looks okay. And I've already approved this one. The approval button will be over here where you can approve or cancel that expense report as well. Now, the great thing is, if I jump back to our purchases inbox for our purchase invoices, if you're using the likes of Xero, for example, has an expenses app available. It's an extra charge on top of the normal Xero subscription. AutoEntry doesn't use any of the expense modules within the various accounts packages. We create essentially a purchase invoice with the claimant as the supplier. So these are my lovely expenses. I now become a supplier of the company, and we're just publishing through a standard purchase invoice. But we've created this nice, easy to use expense report. It can even be printed off and signed if required. We break it down per expense category. On the left-hand side, we give you an individual line item per receipt. So we have all of our individual receipts all pre-categorized because I was selecting the expense category as I was uploading them. And of course, if we jump from page to page, it also includes all the individual receipt images as well. So when we publish the data through to your accounts, you have full data set, not only the actual extraction and the individual line items, but you also have all the images included as well. So in case any further auditing is required or any further checking is required, all the information and the original document source is all there as well. So there are 5 main folders within AutoEntry, and of course our fetching under the integrate section. With company contacts and managed lists, it can bring you into even more settings with our company contacts, as we saw our supplier settings, turning on line items per supplier, turning on auto publish, even setting up your default payment methods so you can publish invoices through marked as paid as well. But top right would be your user menu. So AutoEntry, we're particularly proud of a couple of things. We have, from the outset, we always built it on a practice level, so designed for bookkeepers or accountants, where you'd have multiple clients set up. Under your account settings is where you can add or change a subscription at any stage. We don't have minimum sign-up periods. We don't lock you into 6-month or 1-year contracts. You can sign up for a free trial, gives you 25 credits that you can try it out, or if you ask us nicely, we can give you a couple extra. But you can add a subscription at any stage. Amy will actually send through a link with the email after the webinar where you get 10% discount for 6 months for being an ICB member. But you can add you can add or change your subscription at any stage, or indeed if you've built up a load of credits, you can pause your subscription, still giving you full use of AutoEntry for a minimal fee each month. We start at £9 per month. Would allow you to process 50 invoices through. So perfect for even introducing it for one client that you want to try it out with. It's a very small outlay per month. You can get used to it over the first month or two. And as we mentioned earlier, trying it out, and then you can expand it throughout your practice as you use it. But the big thing is you're not locked in. If you if it doesn't suit your practice or it doesn't suit your clients, you can cancel it at any stage. We hate to see you go, but you can leave if you wish. And then very simply, all of your invoices we populate within AutoEntry as well. So you've full copies of all the invoices we send, and you've full reporting on how many credits are used. So how credits are actually consumed by the documents you upload, but also you can see credit usage per company or per client. So I've just selected the last 90 days, basically the last quarter there, and I can see exactly how many credits each of my clients are using over that period. If you want to be charged back to a client, or you can just simply be monitoring it, wondering why this particular client isn't actually using it at all, and you can expect a great big bag of paperwork at the end of the month to land on your desk like old times. Reintroducing AutoEntry to the client, getting them to use the phone app, at least you have some sort of visibility of any clients who aren't using it. And of course, most importantly, I think I went back a page too far there. Let me just jump back into the company. But most importantly, at any stage, all of our training and support is free of charge and included. The help bubble down the bottom here. And again, as Amy said, we'll do a Q&A. I can see questions are coming in there at the minute as well. We'll be doing a Q&A now at the end of the demo. But at any stage when you're in AutoEntry, clicking on the blue bubble, we're here to help. You can go through our latest feature releases. You can search through our help center. We've nearly 400 articles written on all the various features and all the detail you might require within AutoEntry. And we've videos in there as well per module. We've little videos for your purchases, videos for your expenses, videos on how to use the phone app, that you can have a quick search and go through any of the specific features. Or, of course, you can simply ask us a question. As it says, we typically reply within a few minutes. We're really proud of the fact we don't use bots. We don't use automated replies. We always send, you're always chatting to a real person who will reply as soon as they're available. And it could just, and there's Aaron replying away already. Good man, Aaron. So you will always be talking to a real person. If you're unsure of what the feature is, if you're unsure of what a next step is, simply pop us a quick message. We're more than happy to help.
So this is actually, just to mention, this is Intercom. This little pop-up window is powered by Intercom, which you mentioned is a good onboarding tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So we use it. We're rolling out the onboarding part. Actually, is a new feature that Intercom launched about 2 or 3 weeks ago, which is brilliant. And essentially, they would guide a new user around the page, and we use it an awful lot for our support chat. So by far and away, the best and easiest way to contact us is pop us a message through the support chat. If someone is really unsure, or we feel that it would need a quick phone call or anything, we're more than happy to make a quick phone call back if they're properly stuck on a feature or not understanding it. But yeah, the web chat, brilliant.
Fab. Okay, well, I think, here I am again. I think we should get to these questions then. Thank you so much for that, Brian. I love this idea about this being a tool that helps bookkeepers become more efficient, even if you don't think you're going to spend that time taking on more clients. Presumably you have even better things to spend your time doing. So time is a win. So we have loads of questions, actually, some of which are quite technical. There's a quick one here from Dawn. I think this is an obvious one. She just asks, can you upload a batch of invoices from a pen drive or a disk? Like, I guess it's a USB drive?
I would guess a USB drive. Yeah, so more than likely the drag and drop if I click on upload. So if you have the drive window open, you can probably just drag the files straight up to AutoEntry. You can't do it from the likes of Dropbox, the cloud storage providers. You'd need to download it locally onto your PC and then upload it into AutoEntry. We've no direct connection available at the minute with the likes of Dropbox, just as an example.
And actually, somebody did ask, Rob Swan asked, do you store all the documents that get uploaded, and then is there any way to sort of extract those, or do you basically have them for as long as you pay a subscription to AutoEntry and then you kind of lost them?
Well, we do store them, minimum 7 years or as long as there's an active subscription. You can download all the data at any stage if you require. It doesn't include the images, but if you do require a full download of all the invoice images or statement images, we can organize that into a zip file. So there's no problem there at all.
Because otherwise it would be too big, basically. But you can download at any point. Cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's very straightforward. All right, so somebody has a question. Lindsay Pickles says, I use Sage 50 account. So Brian, you were saying earlier that you are actually the only tool of this kind that integrates with Sage 50, right?
Yep.
And also you integrate with Sage Accounting.
Accounting as well, yeah.
The cloud package.
Yes, yeah.
So Lindsay Pickles is using Sage 50 accounts. She says, each supplier invoice I post needs to be posted to a department. Is it possible with AutoEntry?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. The departments are similar to the tracking categories. Do I have a Sage 50 UK and I? Now, do I have tracking categories set up? I've jumped in here full of confidence. Cost codes and departments are available.
So
now, it can depend on the setup within Sage itself. And we actually only rolled out the tracking categories probably maybe only a week or two ago. We have an update mail and notification going out to all our users in the next week or so with kind of updates we've done over the last month. If the tracking categories aren't appearing for you, even if you just go into the sync app, I forgot the name of the lady who asked the question. If you go into this, Lindsay, excuse me, within the sync app, if you disconnect and reconnect AutoEntry, we'll pull through any new information and it should include the tracking categories for you.
Ooh, okay. All right, I hope that answers your question, Lindsay. Ian Bryson wants to know, can you set different nominal codes for different line items?
You can indeed, yep. Yeah. So kind of touched on this. Actually, I'm in the wrong company here. Let me just go back to the company that has data in it. So if we go into any of the suppliers, you'd need to set up the line item rules. So within the rules, you can set, and we can create a rule where a description contains the word pen, for example, and then as AutoEntry is doing the extraction on the line items, it'll apply the individual nominal account and the individual VAT code as you select here. So kind of like the bank rules within the accounts package already. As we're doing the extraction, we'll compare it against the rules that you've created, and if any of the rules match, then we'll automatically populate the nominal and VAT code for you.
Fabulous. I think that answers Karen's question as well. She just asks what happens when a supplier has more than one relevant nominal code.
So we will remember it per VAT rate. We can only remember one code per VAT rate for a standard invoice. So the Vodafone invoice that we saw earlier on, we'll remember that the 23% line will go to the phone cost and the 0% line will go to the insurance. If you need to use multiple nominal accounts for the same VAT rate, you would just need to enter them manually before publishing them through.
Great. Okay, I think that's very clear. Where's a nice related question? Somebody said, do you link to the basic online Sage 1 package?
No, it's not possible. Sage don't actually have an integration available. Sage Cloud Accounting Start, I believe it's called, or Essentials. But the next,
it has rebranded, hasn't it now? Sage
they've slightly changed their names every couple of months for some reason recently. But yeah, the very basic one, no, Sage don't actually allow integrations at the minute with it. So you'd need to be on. I think they've 3 tiers of subscription. You need to be on the 2nd or the 3rd tier.
There we go. Okay, so
and it's the same with Xero and QuickBooks as well. With the very basic subscription levels, they actually don't allow full integrations.
I wonder why. So Susanna's got an interesting question. What about clients who have company credit cards that are used for several staff members for their expenses? So they're not things that are going to get reimbursed to the employee because it's a company credit card. So it's like subsistence, fuel, stuff like that. But also, obviously, it's not like employing a supplier account. So how do you deal with that?
There's 2 ways. An awful lot of our customers would simply have them upload them as a purchase invoice, essentially as a purchase invoice. But when you're uploading through the expenses folder as well, you can mark individual expenses as non-reimbursable. So essentially at the end of the month, the client might be submitting 2 expense reports, one for the non-reimbursable receipts that they use the company card for, and maybe a separate report for their reimbursable receipts that they actually use their own money for. So there is an option within each individual expense that you can turn off that it's reimbursable. We default to reimbursable.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you switch that off, basically. That's very good. And so Kimberly, and I'm sort of feeding for you here, but Kimberly has one small client, and she just uploads the docs in a batch once a year. And she asks, do I pay just for that batch of uploads? Are the documents then stored for 6 years? And is there anything in particular I should know about one-off uploads?
No, so you can do you can purchase the credits and cancel it 20 minutes later by all means, using AutoEntry to upload all the data. What we would say is retain the scans locally, because we obviously can't store the documents going forward for eternity if there's no subscription on the account, because there's a minor charge, but obviously we have to retain the data. And for GDPR reasons, we can't retain the data for more than a year if you're not a current customer. So we would just say to be wary of making sure you keep copies of the data, because if it comes past a year, we're obliged by law to remove the data if you're no longer a customer of AutoEntry. So the only way we can say that you're a customer is if there's an ongoing subscription. So where there is an ongoing subscription, your documents are all safe and secure, and we have them for a minimum of 7 years for you. But if using it once a year, we'd just say to be cautious, just to make sure you retain your own backups in case we are forced to delete the data.
And the subscription starts at £9 a month, doesn't it?
Starts at £9 a month. Really, really cheap and easy.
Cheap and easy, and there's a 10% discount for ICB members, and we will send you a link, a special link for that by the end of the day.
Yep.
And on a similar sort of note, Carl B, I think is their name, can I use a scanner to batch upload receipts rather than having to take a picture of each one individually?
Yes, absolutely. It depends on the scanner. Smaller receipts, like the Starbucks one that we had on the screen there a few minutes ago, they can be difficult to scan through a feed scanner or a flatbed scanner, but you can use scanners, absolutely. If you're looking to use multiple receipts on the same scan, we would say keep it a maximum of 4 receipts on the scan. They can't overlap. AutoEntry, don't forget, it's an automated extraction service. So if AutoEntry can't find the individual receipt, or if they're crossing over, touching, they'll get rejected very easily and very simply. So genuinely though, if you have a large number of receipts, the phone app will be by far and away the quickest way to upload them.
Fabulous. Okay. I'm just wondering if everyone can see Brian as well as me, because then for a second I thought maybe it would just be me. But so if you can't see Brian, tell me.
Webcam should be on.
I can see you, Brian. I just was worried I was stealing all the screen time there. Wasn't doing it on purpose, I promise. Jane wants to know, Jane Lynch, is it possible to switch between using line items and not using line items? I tried to ask help this question, but the answer was confusing.
Okay. Sorry, was there something else?
She wants to know if the line items are switched on, will I be charged double for each invoice, even if I don't need to use it for all my invoices?
Yes, so once line items is turned on, there's 3 ways to turn it on. You can turn it on per upload. So when we click on upload, we have the checkbox here to turn it on or off, and it'll be applied to all the invoices that you're about to upload. You can, under the supplier settings, you can turn it on for a specific supplier. And what we find is, while most people might need line items for maybe 10% of all their invoices, you can just turn on line items for that particular supplier. So you're not using up the extra credits doing line item extraction on invoices that you don't need it for. The third way, you can turn it on under company settings, where you'll be turning it on for all invoices uploaded across this whole company. So it's simply turning on line items and everything that's uploaded. There's no option. They'll all have line items extracted. But the easiest way would be simply go to the supplier that you want the line items extracted for, turn on line item extraction for that specific supplier, and then you don't need to filter the invoices or anything. You can still upload your PDF with 100 invoices in it in one scan. When AutoEntry comes across the Vodafone invoice, we'll do the line item extraction and then revert to standard extraction for all the other invoices.
Yikes. You really do know what you're talking about. Customer success. I can see why you've got that title.
We have what we kind of refer to as a complicated, simple product.
Yes.
We do one thing. We extract the data, we put it in your accounts package, but we've a huge amount of settings and everything that you can just automate it even further and do as much of the entry as for you as possible.
I suppose, is that what bookkeeping is? It's complicated and simple at the same time. Too complicated for me, I might add. However, Karen Gascoigne, I can answer this question myself. So she asks, if the paperwork is forwarded as an attachment to an email, does it pull information from the attachment? And by golly, yes, it does. So for lazy people like me, you don't have to do anything. Basically, you just forward the email on. Is that right?
That's exactly it, yeah. And we'll even do the extraction from the body of an email as well. So the likes of an airline confirmation where there's no attached receipt or attached invoice, it's just all in the actual email itself. We'll still do all the correct extraction from that.
Fabulous. Great. Also, slightly similar question. Sharon Quirk, and I just want to point out Sharon Quirk is in Kerry right now.
Hello, Sharon.
Big up, Kerry. If you get invoices emailed to you with multiple fuel receipts on one page, can that be uploaded? You might have sort of touched on that.
Yeah, we'll kind of say generally a maximum of 4 per page. But if someone's going to the hassle of scanning the multiple receipts and then copying it into an email and sending it on to you, they'll probably have it all done on the phone app in half the time. Genuinely, if you haven't tried the phone app, download it from either of the app stores. It's super easy to use and super easy just to snap an image, click upload, and that's it done.
Okay. Sharon's asked another question. How does it tie in with recorded stock, as that would need to be entered line by line? And does it update the stock on Sage when imported?
We don't on Sage at the minute. It's not a feature that's currently available, but we are working with Sage. Hopefully, in the near term, we should have it available. We do have it available with QuickBooks Online, that we can update the inventory control or the stock control within QuickBooks Online, but just not quite available with the other packages yet, but we are working on it.
Okay, so hopefully that is nice and clear. Sharon, Sharon from Kerry. Oh, this is interesting. Another Sharon. She says, my customer is UK-based and uses WhatsApp. Do you have a WhatsApp integration? You probably don't need one.
No.
But it's good to know. Thanks for letting us know.
We've never actually been asked that.
It's a good one. Good question. There's one for the dev team.
Yeah.
Gurjinder, what would be the cost? I like this. What would be the cost for processing approximately 500 invoices or bills every month? Good scale.
Yeah, so we actually have our standard subscription packages, and I can even jump in and show you our main list. 500 invoices would be £75 per month.
So I have stopped you sharing your screen, by the way, I think.
Oh.
I pressed a button, so I can't see it anymore.
Okay, I'll just share that again. So we do have within AutoEntry again, I think, can you see it there now?
Yep.
Perfect. So within AutoEntry, you can go to, we have various levels. Obviously on the larger subscriptions, the price per credit is coming down. So if you're looking at 500 standard invoices a month, that'll be 500 credits, £75. If you're VAT registered, don't forget we use the reverse charge rule, so there's no VAT on top of that.
The questions are still coming. Phil actually has asked this sort of twice, so thank you for that. What about duplication? If someone does the same thing, takes a photo twice, or if, say, they've taken a photo, uploaded it to AutoEntry, and then bring in the paperwork, or you get it from their office, will you know if it's duplicated? So
we do a duplicate check 3 times. At the point of upload, we'll recognize if that PDF has been uploaded before. So maybe you scanned all the documents on a Friday and your colleague comes in on the Monday and re-uploads the same file. We'll recognize that and cancel any processing. As we're processing it, we'll then recognize if we've processed individual invoices before, based on the supplier name, invoice date, invoice number, and the gross total. And we'll tag that as a duplicate and we'll pop it into your rejected folder. And thirdly, then when we're actually publishing through to your accounts package, we essentially knock on the door and check, does this invoice already exist? Has a colleague manually entered it last week and you're using AutoEntry this week? So we'll also get a duplicate check at that point and we won't publish it through. You can manually override them if you don't believe us. So you can keep forcing it through onto the next step. But generally, if we've caught it, we're fairly guaranteed, our confidence level is extremely high that it is a duplicate invoice.
Fabulous. I think that going on the time, I think it might be worth us, because there's still, I think, nine more questions still to go through. I think it might be worth us wrapping up and answering some of the questions in a follow-up email.
Yep.
It's just one quick one, is that somebody has asked, is this subscription per client or per practice?
Per practice. So what you subscribe to, that the other lady who's asking about the 500 invoices or 500 credits, it's essentially a pool of credits for your practice. One of your clients might use 10 a month, one of them might use 100 a month, but you're benefiting from the cheaper price per credit purely because you have a larger subscription.
And so it can go up and down?
If you require, absolutely. So we also have a fair usage policy that unused credits roll over for 3 months. So takes account of maybe clients that you only see on a quarterly basis. You build up credits in January that you didn't use, and you build up credits again in February that you didn't use. But in March, all your clients come in at the same time, and you have those bulk of credits there ready and waiting. Plus, we even give you a 2-month overdraft. So if you're slightly busier than expected 1 month, we don't cut you off just because you hit your 500 credits. We'll allow you to go 2 months over your subscription, and we simply add, like your phone bill, we simply add the extra credits you used onto your next subscription. So we don't lock you down or cut you out just because you've hit the limit on what you bought.
Which is fabulous. Okay, so that's very good. And then also, just to reiterate, there is a 10% discount for you special people for your first 6 months of using AutoEntry. I was just thinking, just to sort of round it up, I might just do another poll. So earlier we had 70% of you guys not using something like AutoEntry yet. I'm just wondering if you could let us know, if you can see this poll up on your screen, and how many of you might now be considering using something like AutoEntry in the next year. 100% so far. Woo! Exciting. And probably that's one of the reasons you joined our webinar today, of course. So we've still got 9% saying no. So that's very interesting. So we'll have to try and find out why. And Karen Gascoigne says, I can't see the poll, but I will be using it. Excellent. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us. Hopefully just a good introduction to what AutoEntry is and what a bit of automation can do for your practice. And again, don't forget, at any stage you can sign up for a free trial. Our help center is there. You can ask us any questions you might have, any of the questions even that we didn't get to. By all means, you can pop in and pop messages over to our team. We're more than happy to help at any stage.
Fabulous. Full of information, helping us be more efficient, which can only be a good thing. Thanks to everybody at home and office. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Bye-bye.